You know, getting a hydrostatic test right can be the difference between a pipeline that lasts for generations and one that causes major headaches down the road. So today, we're going to break down the professional, industry-standard field guide for testing ductile iron pipe, making sure it's absolutely solid and ready for service. So, here's how we'll walk through it. We're going to cover this in 4 key stages. We'll kick things off with the all-important prep work, then we'll get into the standard test procedure itself. After that, we'll look at how to figure out what's going on when you get tricky results, and we'll wrap it all up with the best practices to ensure everything holds up for the long haul. Okay, let's start at the beginning with the foundation. And let me tell you, this is the phase where success is truly earned. If you cut corners here, you're almost guaranteeing problems later. Proper prep isn't just a nice to have, it is everything. So you might be wondering, why is everyone so obsessed with flushing the line first? I mean, industry standards like the American Waterworks Association's C600 manual really drill down on this. It seems basic, right? But skipping this step can completely throw off your test and waste a ton of time and money. Well, it all boils down to 2 really critical goals. First, you've got to clear out all the physical junk, soil, sand, whatever got in there during installation, before it can damage a valve. But second, and this is the one that really trips people up, you have to get rid of all the trapped air. Air compresses under pressure, and it creates these false pressure drops that look exactly like a leak. It can send you on a wild goose chase for a problem that isn't even there. So this right here, this is your playbook for doing it right. You fill the pipe nice and slow, starting from the lowest point, which lets the air escape naturally. Then you make sure to open up the valves at all the high points to give that air somewhere to go. You keep the flow going at a specific speed to push out sediment, and you just watch the water coming out until it runs completely clear. Simple, but so effective. And that velocity we mentioned, the magic number is 2.5 feet per second. That's the sweet spot. It's fast enough to push all the debris and sediment out of the line, but it's not so fast that you risk damaging that internal cement lining on the pipe. All right, the pipe is flushed clean and it's free of air. Now it's time for the main event, running the standard Hydrotest, just like it's laid out in the AWA C600 manual. The setup itself is basically a 3-step dance. You fill the line with clean water, you put a calibrated pressure gauge at the lowest point, that's where you'll get the most accurate reading, and then you isolate the whole section by closing all the valves. This just makes sure your test is happening in a totally controlled environment. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The test pressure you need isn't just one number. It actually changes based on the elevation. Generally, you're looking at 1.25 to 1.5 times the normal operating pressure. But, and this is important, if that pipe has a cement mortar lining, you have to be careful not to go over the working pressure or you could damage it. Okay, so you're pressurized. Now what? You wait for at least 2 hours. And during that time, you're just watching that pressure gauge. If it drops more than 5 psi, that's your first big clue that something might be wrong. Now look, no pipe is going to be perfectly 100% watertight under this kind of pressure. There's going to be a tiny bit of absorption. So the question is, how much makeup water is acceptable to add to keep the pressure up? Well, this formula gives you the exact answer. It calculates the allowable leakage, L, based on the pipe's length, its diameter, and the pressure. It's how the industry separates minor acceptable seepage from a real problem. And hey, to make life a whole lot easier, this table gives you the pre-calculated numbers for standard pipe sizes at a common test pressure. So, for example, if you're testing a 12-inch pipe, you can see you're allowed just under 1 gallon per hour of makeup water. Super handy. Okay, but what happens when the results aren't so clear-cut, when you're in that gray area? Let's talk about a really powerful diagnostic tool that can save you a world of trouble. I mean, this is the classic problem, right? You see the pressure drop, but you have to know why. Is it just a stubborn air pocket that you couldn't get out? Or do you have a genuine leak somewhere? The last thing you want to do is start digging if you don't have to. The answer is something called the double bump test. It's a seriously clever method that uses the relationship between pressure and volume to tell you exactly what you're dealing with. So here's how it works. It's a 3-step process where you incrementally bump the pressure up, first to 200 psi, then to 250, then finally to 300. And at each stage, you carefully measure exactly how much water it takes to get back to that target pressure. And the best part, interpreting the results is brilliantly simple. If the amount of makeup water you need decreases with each pressure bump, that's just the trapped air getting squeezed smaller. But if the volume of water you need increases, well, that means you have a physical leak that's actually getting worse as the pressure goes up.
And the benefits here are just massive. You avoid digging up perfectly good pipe, which saves a ton of money. You get your answer in about 90 minutes instead of waiting days. And you get a clear, accurate diagnosis that tells you exactly what to do next. It's a real game changer.
So the test is over, but hold on, the job isn't quite done. Let's cover the final steps and best practices to really button up the project and make sure it's reliable for years to come. First and foremost, a huge safety warning. And the AWWA C600 standard could not be more clear on this. You always use water for a hydrotest, never, ever, ever use air. Water doesn't really compress. Air does. And if a line fails under compressed air, it can be an explosive, incredibly dangerous event. This is not a guideline, it is a non-negotiable rule.
So here's your final checklist to make sure it's a job well done. Use acoustic listening devices to find hidden leaks. Always check your joints and fittings first. They're the most common culprits. Document everything with a pressure recorder so you have a permanent record. And this is a big one, double check that your thrust restraints were designed for the higher test pressure, not just the normal operating pressure. It's really about leaving no stone unturned. At the end of the day, following these procedures correctly isn't about just passing a test or taking a box. It's about confirming the structural integrity of a vital piece of public infrastructure. It's about ensuring a safe, reliable, and long-lasting water system that protects all of us. And that brings us to our final thought. A successful hydrotest isn't the finish line. It's the certification that the pipeline is ready to begin a lifetime of service. The real work, and the real question, is how we ensure that the integrity we just proved will hold strong for decades to come.